7:30 in Lewes, in East Sussex. So I suspect it's 7:30 in a lot of other places. And a very good morning and a beautiful morning it is as well. I'm Keith Hayes, and this is Rouser Radio, coming to you from the White Hart Hotel, the premier inn in Lewes, right in the heart of the town. Greeted this morning by Sally with her beautiful smile and a cheery disposition. If you really want to feel good about yourself, drop by the White Hart. It's the 14th of June. Yes, June. I have to make sure we can't bring Jack DeManio back just yet. At 7:32, the year is 2022. Not the most auspicious year, and it continues to be controversial. Outside, the temperature is going to hit about 20 today. No rain, and just a lovely, lovely day. And already, yes, it's a day worth getting out into. Okay, let's take a look. Why are we here? Well, we really are a sort of precursor to Mirador Television, which comes on at 8:30, and is the established morning program in Lewes and beyond. The radio just is a little taster, a little warmer. For those of you who are still rolling out of bed, and for us, gives us a little bit of time to get our studio ready. So there you are, that's what we're all about, Rouser Radio. And if you want to know what a rouser is, it is the local term in Sussex for a banger, a firecracker, a firework that goes bang, bang, bang. That's a rouser. So Rouser Radio is designed to get you out of bed with a bang, bang, bang. Get up, get up, get up. What do you think of that? I doff my cap to you. Awesome. People of discriminant taste, I must say. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Right, okay, poor old Boris. It doesn't matter what the hell he does, they jump on his case. And I think what's happening is that he's beginning to become something of a cult prime minister. And he I'm just checking on a couple of things here before we go charging ahead. I think probably that the sympathy vote is going to start going. He's faced as prime minister so many crises, and people think of him as a buffoon, and he can play that, but he's got a very sharp mind. Let's face it, he's nobody's fool. The thing is that he's a bit disdainful of authority and particularly the establishment. You actually challenge the establishment at your peril because they do not like the status quo being changed. And I'm beginning to warm to him more and more and more. And this morning, the first headline in the Eye is the Church versus Boris Johnson. The bishops tell the Prime Minister the Rwanda flight shames the UK. A reaction to the Court of Appeal's decision to allow the first flight taking asylum seekers to Rwanda to go ahead leads some of the papers. The newspaper focus on criticism by the Church of England leaders, who call it an immoral policy that shames Britain. Well, now that seems to me that what the Church is saying is that they are discriminatory towards Rwanda, which has become from a country that experienced genocide to a leading light in the development of modern Africa. So what the hell are they yelling about? They're yelling because we're sending them to a black country. That's what. That's what the church is. It is institutionally racist, and it's going to stay that way. There's nothing much we can do. But it is they it's so hidden, isn't it? I must confess is I don't get terribly excited about discriminatory practices. They're there, and they're going to stay. Taking the knee and all the rest of it is all show biz. It means nothing. The fact is that we are racist and we can't help it. And the only thing that changes is time and understanding, and an understanding that we have amongst us people who aren't discriminatory. I'm not discriminatory overtly. Covertly, I probably am. I'm probably as bad as anybody, but I don't mean it. And what my mantra is for God's sake, can we please get the best people to do the job? That's where this country is lacking, and I suspect a lot of countries who embrace the sacred cow of democracy as we know it. As far as I'm concerned, is the thing that gives stable and stability to our country is the constitutional monarchy, the way that it's set up. Our democracy is a very odd democracy. We don't have a written constitution in the main. It's on precedent and law and decree and decisions in the High Court. That's how our country is governed. It sounds messy, but in fact it works. And long may she reign, and long may it reign. And all this BS about democracy and all the hand-wringing that goes on in Westminster about ethics and so on and so forth, it's nonsense. They're there to get their fingers into the barrel, into the pork barrel, and they behave that way. And we see it every day. Discrimination, yeah, it's there all the time. And stop pretending it's not. We do eradicate bit by bit. We are more sophisticated. We are more aware. But we really, really, when it gets right down to it, have only our own interests at heart, and if there's something that crosses that path, then by golly, let's have a go at it. And in this particular case, to me, what the church is saying, and it should know better, is why are you sending them to a country that is short on human rights, short on development, short on ethics? Well, it's not. It's becoming quietly, Rwanda is becoming quietly, and I may say, with some help from our own Foreign Office. I never got to go to Rwanda, but I do know some people who did. And they went as part of missions to try and give some semblance of democratic procedures, but particularly democratic thinking. It is considered by many to be the jewel of Africa. But no, the church has to get onto its high and mighty, pompous back legs. Yes. Daily Mail, the Rwanda flight latest, and the Daily Mail says the court of common sense. To their credit, judges have 3 times rejected left-wing activist demands to ground migrant flights. To what is a farce, only a handful out of 130 are still on the passenger list. The Court of Common Sense is the Daily Mail's approving headline, and it says the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, plans to transport asylum seekers to East Africa, and it was given a huge boost by the court's rejection of left-wing activists yesterday. And the paper says it is a farce that only a handful remain from an original passenger list of 130 after a series of individual legal challenges. Well, my dear, is the legal profession is the same as every other profession. It loves to have its hand in the pork barrel. Stuff it in your pocket. I wish I could stuff in my pocket. Oh my goodness me! I got two beautiful ladies here this morning. Oh, it's beyond my man can stand. This is wonderful. The, the Metro, which is the London paper, says clear for takeoff. It again headlines the flight that is going to Rwanda, and just 7 people thought to be originally from Iraq, Albania, and Syria are due to be on board when the plane takes off. And it's taking off at 10:30 tonight from the RAF station in Lynham, in Wiltshire. And so, the important thing is that it is actually happening. The Guardian, EU to the fight UK in a court over a bid to scrap Brexit checks. Here's another one. Between the EU and Westminster, it's the Nat fighting the flea. They really just do not think about us, the people who vote for them and pay their salary checks. They've got to have a fight over something. The fact is that I think that Northern Ireland, and I spent 15 years there, so I understand the situation somewhat. I think that Boris has found the best of both worlds. There is an opportunity for those who wish to go by EU rules, and there's an opportunity for those who wish to go by UK rules, and actually cross-border stuff between the Republic of Ireland, which is in the EU, and Northern Ireland, which is part of us, and therefore subject to Brexit, is sustainable, and it needs to be. There's no sense in calling for a united Ireland if what you're going to do is to say, but every attempt to make us deal as one nation is silly nonsense to stop it. Where does common sense end up? Oh, goodness gracious me, no. The Times, the EU pledges legal action over Brexit violation. Well, wouldn't you expect it? The EU is a busted flush. It doesn't matter whether you approve of Brexit or not. The EU is a busted flush. It singularly fails to follow even its own mandate. It pulls in control and takes power from its constituent parts into Brussels, making Brussels an all-powerful unit. Every other federation in the world does exactly the opposite. The United States, Canada, Australia, they all have less power at the centre and more in the constituent parts, with the centre, the federation, just pulling things together like law and order, international treaties, international dealings. Other than that, it's the smaller outlying areas, the provinces or the states or whatever who have the majority of the power. EU, no, exactly the opposite. And a former president of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, is on record as saying it is a matter of amazement to me in my political life as to why European politicians race so fast to recreate the old Soviet Union. And that's exactly what they're doing. Financial Times. Brussels threatens legal action on the bill to tear up Northern Ireland Protocol. Of course it will. Ha ha ha! It's been waiting for something like this. But I just wish that people would stop to think about what some of these treaties and agreements have on the people on the ground. And the fact of the matter is, the dog's breakfast that is, we want this and you want that came out of Brexit in this particular instance is a farce. It's a nonsense. Whether, in fact, they've got it right by doing what they're doing, I don't know, but at least they're trying. And that's where we should be starting to be positive. Yeah, give it a try. Give it a try. If it's not working, we can go back and we can change it. Oh, change it. Ooh. No, sir. Politicians do not make mistakes. Have you noticed that? No politician, either individual or party or constituency, constituted part. What am I trying to say? Well, as a country, they never make mistakes. Never ever. Oh, it's wonderful. Aren't they wonderful? Ben sound ukulele. Ben sound ukulele. And you are listening to Rouser Radio this morning, coming out of the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, in East Sussex. A wonderful hotel, very ancient, but also considered to be the cradle of American independence. Now, that's some claim, isn't it? But it's true, because this is where Tom Paine, the master behind the War of Independence and the separation of the United States as a colony to a country in its own right. This is where he masterminded the whole thing, and it is virtually unchanged, except that it does have electric light now. But Tom Paine, who quite often liked very much to work at night by candlelight, invented the smokeless candle, because prior to that, in the late 1700s, people killed themselves because the fumes from the candle were noxious, and they dropped off to sleep and never woke up. And he invented a candle that you could burn all night and not get the noxious fumes. So, the smokeless candle from Tom Paine, who came to this hotel regularly. In fact, he almost lived here, writing The Rights of Man, giving us all some idea of what we should be asking for and what we're not getting. Now, I have to tell you that beautiful Jane is back, and she's been in Dorset, having a wonderful time in Dorset. She looks great. She's here. If you have a mind to drop by the White Hart Hotel, say hello to Jane, because she's got that beautiful smile that keeps everybody happy. Right-ho. Let's go back to where are we? Oh, it's 7:50 right now. and climbing towards 20 degrees. Um, let's see. Yes, and it is the 14th of June. The Daily Telegraph, no tax cuts before inflation cools off. Well, that seems to me to make economic sense. Is when you're trying to stop inflation and the rise in prices and so on and so forth, the one thing you don't want to do is to stoke the economy to encourage people to push prices up and to spend more. It's a rock and a hard place, as they say. The Daily Telegraph is passing on a government warning. Is that the Prime Minister is unlikely to reduce taxes to help with the cost of living before next year, and he's doing that because he wants to cool inflation. And indeed, the central banks throughout the world, it's not just us that are suffering inflation, almost everybody is. The central banks throughout the world are working very hard to cap inflation. They do that by raising, uh, what do we call it, raising interest rates. So money becomes more expensive and people stop spending because it's too costly. So that's what they're working at. But there are dangers in doing that as well. Once again, who knows what effect some of these things have. The Mirror, Wills, it's Andrew or me. The Daily Mirror's headline reports that the Duke of Cambridge has given the Queen an ultimatum to block the Duke of York's return to public life after setting a sex assault case, settling a sex assault case. He is reported as saying, "It's Andrew or me." Prince William threatened to pull out of a royal procession at Windsor if his uncle was allowed to take part, the paper says. So Wills is saying, hey, listen, he's been a naughty boy. We slapped his fingers. What's the point in just leaving it until we think everybody's forgotten and then we take it all back? And he's quite right. We do that in our lives far too often. You naughty person. Spank, spank, spank. Now you go out and then you do it all over again. Our courts are full of it. Our prisons are full of such prisoners. When are we going to learn? Okay, am I sounding terribly right wing? I don't mean to be terribly right wing. I don't see myself as anything, to be quite honest with you. I approve of a bit of this and a bit of that, left, right, and centre. But what I do think is that children need steering. And if in fact we've got the mother of parliaments, the mother needs steering the nation. And by doing that, it has to slap our fingers from time to time. It has to make sure that we tread the straight and narrow. And if we don't, then we need spanking. It's that simple. No, it really is that simple. The Daily Express. Andrew's rift with the royals deepens over his birthright. The Daily Express says Prince Andrew believes other senior royals are denying him his birthright and says his rift with other royals has deepened. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I mean, families for generations have fallen out. He did this, he did that. I'm not talking to him. He's my brother, he's my uncle, he's my aunt. They've always managed to cover it up with the royal family. But here it is getting nasty. It is getting down in the gutter. Oh, ho, ho. The trouble with Andrew is that he was the prince that was spoiled. Because he was not heir to the throne, or at least he was sixth or seventh, I suppose, he's always been given some favour by the Queen. And instead of responding to that in a responsible fashion, he's really been the playboy prince. And not to put it too bluntly, he shagged his way around the world. And now it's coming home to roost. You can't have your cake and eat it, I think is the phrase. Right. The Sun. Will's House of Windsor. Another royal story leads the Sun, as the paper reports that Prince William is moving his family to a new home on the Windsor estate, near to the Queen. The paper says the 4-bedroom Adelaide cottage, needs no extra taxpayer security and no costly refurbish. Oh, that's very thoughtful of them, isn't it? Very thoughtful indeed. Oh, and now here is my favorite Daily Star. What on earth is that likely to have this morning? You've got to have your taste of the Daily Star. You really got to go into your newsagents and take a quick peek. And it's Hell's Bells. And it's saying scorched mayhem during the coming heat wave. And we are. Today starts the heat wave. Yesterday was 19 degrees. Today is 20 something. Tomorrow, 23, 24. And it could, by the end of the week, if it stays the way that it is at the moment, hit as much as 30 degrees. Wow. So the Star says we face an invasion of killer hornets, heat stroke, and airport baggage hell as Ryanair staff go on strike. Oh, no, not more strikes. Dear, 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 dear. Well, those are the headlines as we see it this morning. And what a day, what a day, what a day. It's a lovely day. It is a wonderful day. But we as humans have managed to create absolute hell. Absolute hell. And it's because we have got fat and sassy. Between 2000 and 2019, we had no such thing as inflation. We had price stability. There was a reasonable expectation that everybody could share in the largesse. It wasn't just the very wealthy that were able to buy houses. Most people were able to buy houses, as if that's some benchmark. I don't believe that at all. That's just personal stuff. And we didn't have much in the way of upset from the trade unions. Oh, a little bit here, a little bit there, and they continue to make their demands, but they didn't do too badly out of it, and they were sensible enough to recognise it and to leave everything alone. We had a golden era, and then wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, out of China or out of wherever, Mother Nature perhaps, who knows? There's nothing definitive. We got COVID, and everything changed. Everything changed, and we didn't like it one little bit. So what do? Standard things, we broke all the rules, and now we are paying the price. And boy, are we paying the price. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. The COVID phenomenon hit us when we were least expecting it, when we were least able to defend from it, when we were least able emotionally and environmentally handle what we had to face with lockdown. And we are not facing the resurgence post-lockdown terribly well. It is 7:59. Aha! And what's your? I love I'm just looking at the things that we can play. Let's play Breeze. Yes, Breeze. breeze from telecasting. But better switch the microphone on, otherwise you can't hear me. Some of you might not want to hear me. Uh, just just a quick look at some of the local news. It's so parochial quite often that we don't bother with it. But there was a blaze at a derelict building in Crowborough. Uh, uh, um, there are 189 affordable houses in the pipeline in the Lewis district. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Uh, and let's see. Uh, Lewis District Council have pledged £30,000 for support to the Ukraine. So it's hard to argue with that. But I really think that we pay taxes. Central government is buying them guns and so on and so forth. There are so many things that we could do better with it. Now, it doesn't matter what Lewis District Council do. They would be damned if they didn't, and they would be damned if they did, and I'm damning them for doing it. I'm just one of those stupid people who damned the. And I wonder how the Lewis Gin and Fizz Festival went on the weekend. I hope it went well because it got its license at the last minute, and it's a pretty popular event, and the weather was okay. In fact, I forgot about it, as, otherwise I might have just gone along and taken a look at what was on offer. Anyway, that's where we stand at 8:03 on the 14th of June in the year 2022, and you're listening to Rouser Radio out of the White Hart Hotel in Lewes, East Sussex. Oh, lovely, lovely. Actually, it's funny. A lot of people discount the White Hart as being sort of a bit old and not having uh, many of the things that modern hotels have. But who wants a modern hotel? I sit here each morning from 7:30 onwards, surrounded by a wonderful staff, absolutely terrific staff. They are polite. They make me feel at home. We have a little bit of a josh, a little bit of a joke. And all in all, it's placid and it's calm and it's exactly what you need first thing in the morning. And then I see the world go by as people come and go and use the lounge here, which used to be called the Farmer's Bar. I don't normally don't leave until about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And the colourful characters that use this, some of them just to sit here. They don't even buy a cup of coffee, and the hotel doesn't mind. Others come in and have either coffee and cakes, or they have a glass of wine, or a gin and tonic, or whatever. And all in all, it is a subdued, colourful area of Lewis on a daily basis. Believe me, it is pretty damn good. Now, we're having a bit of problem getting back to our papers. I thought we might have. But anyway, we can keep on because I've now got a mission. Is to find out how there we go, how the gin and fizz festival went on the weekend, and I sincerely hope that it did extremely well. It was set in the in South Grange Park or Gardens or whatever you want to call them, which are a lovely setting for anything. Doesn't allow too many events in it because it is for people, and that makes it a place for families. And actually walking in there is it makes it, it's nice to see young mothers with their kids. It is nice to see elderly people being looked after by their families. It's nice to see the picnic blanket out, even if the picnic is no more than a sausage roll. It is nice. And this park brings to the centre of our small town a civility that is hard to find. So we've got a hotel that is civilized, we've got a park that's civilized. Actually, when you think about it, after all the mayhem that's taken place, we have got a castle that is civilized. So we are quite a civilized little town. The only thing is that the Grinch has managed to swallow up the councils. First of all, the district council, Lewis District Council, ain't Lewis District Council anymore. It's Lewis and Eastbourne with an emphasis on the Eastbourne, because that's where it is. The town council is actually, hopefully, it's had some good leadership recently. It's John Lamb, followed by Stephen Catlin, and now Shirley, who is the present mayor, they're all caring people, and they're people that will do things for their community. It is 8:08. I had better, since I've been sounding off, just pay one more track before we say goodbye. Kind of a party with the mini Daddles. Yes, I like that. I like that a lot. That really gets the blood stirring, ready to get out there and enjoy the day. 21 degrees today, 23 tomorrow. Today, no rain, no cloud, and a very little breeze. So be careful when you go out. Don't fall foul of thinking that you can get away with facing the sun for the first time this year properly. It is a nice, nice day, but that, as Shakespeare said, uh, the sunny day brings out the adder, and that craves wary walking, or something like that. So the bright day brings out harsh sun rays to soft skins. So be careful out there. Yes, sir. Be careful. What do you say? Hey? Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's 11 minutes past 8. And just to remind you that the newspaper headlines is the church has got into the, wouldn't you expect it? The church has got into the Rwanda thing without doing much of an investigation at all, at all, at all. And one newspaper over the weekend showed in the hotel that these people are going to be held in. God, I'm going to race out and get on that plane to Rwanda myself. It's a luxury hotel, and basically they've got a free bar. It's the only thing is, Pretty Patel, is that you might, by doing this, have get a number of people saying, "Oh my gosh, yes, let's head for Britain illegally, because if we get caught and we send to Rwanda, we're going to live a life of luxury." But the church doesn't want to acknowledge that. Goodness gracious me, no! If Africa isn't back in the 20s, in the 1800s for that matter, it's not at all happy. It has got no axe to grind, and in this particular case, Boris is taking the Archbishop of Canterbury full barrel. Ha ha! The Daily Mail, the court of common sense, it supports what's going on. Uh, um, there's one thing there. There's a little photograph of Tony Blair in his finery, and whatever he is, Lord Blair, I guess. He was booed. Prince Andrew was humiliated because he was told to get lost, and so the whole thing with there was a big service yesterday. I forget what it was. It's Commonwealth Day or something of the sort. I can't remember. There are too many of them now. What a royal pantomime, says the Daily Mail. And indeed, you watch. The Queen will step in. She will put her foot down with a firm hand, and she will say, "Enough. You're making a fool of the royal family and making people think that we're all idiots." The metro clear for takeoff. It's pretty neutral about the flight to Rwanda. The only thing it says is that it's a flight with only about 10 people on board. The Guardian, the EU to fight UK in court over bid to scrap Brexit checks. One would expect that. I'm sorry, but the EU, as it's presently constituted, and this has nothing to do whether we should be in or out, it is a farce. It is a nonsense. And the word reform is not even allowed in their dictionaries. So we're better leaving it to itself, because eventually it will end up flying up its own, you know what. The Times, the EU pledges legal action over Brexit violation. Why? And the Financial Times is Brussels threatens legal. Oh, the same thing. The Daily Telegraph, no tax cuts before inflation cools off. Well, I mean, that is common sense. Whether, in fact, people will accept it as such, I have no idea. The Mirror, Wills, it's Andrew or me. Oh, internal fighting in the palace. And Andrew wants to come back to perform royal duties, and the Queen is very sympathetic to that. After all, he is her favourite son. But Wills is saying, Prince William is saying, "Hey, listen, if he's back, I'm out." So that could actually be a constitutional crisis if he backs off the heir to the throne. Andrew's rift with the royals deepens over his birthright, to the Daily Express. Daily Express has a tendency to be pro-government, and in this particular case, it is being pro the Queen, pro what it calls common sense. And the son, Will's house of Windsor. It's all about him moving into a new cottage, 4-bedroom cottage, to be closer to the Queen. And the Daily Star. Hell's bells, we're all going to burn to death with the heat wave. Ha ha ha! Bring it on! Bring it on! Thanks for being with us. This was Rouser Radio, coming out of Lewes in uh, East Sussex. And we've had a good 3/4 of an hour. Yell, rant, rave. The headlines this morning are rather good. Oh, by the way, we're doing quite well in the cricket. At long last, we're starting to see players come out, and we can take some pride in our team again. They haven't won it yet, but they are playing extremely well. What a wonderful note to go out on. Toodle pip.